Afternoon, Fulham fans, to a special New Year's Day edition of Live by the River as we delve into a couple of important issues regarding a little review of what we think we're doing so far in the 2025-26 season. Also, we're hopefully delving a little bit more into how the transfer window will pan out and what players we actually need. But most importantly, we're going to be looking into an idea, which is if football didn't exist, what sport would our Fulham players end up doing instead? Anyway, Tom, let's cut to the chase and have a think about how well do you think we've done so far this season?
Well, I think the December form has massively seesawed what we would be saying because we've got 3 league wins on the bounce, and despite an injury hit season, some bad calls against us, and then AFCON recently, we're looking actually up the table, and Europe's still not out of the question. So I think if you'd have said by this point that we'd be in the position we are where, Europe isn't out of the question, we would be relatively pleased with that. I mean, we also had a quarter-final, so yes, we lost it, but yeah, I mean, obviously I think the December form has massively coloured that, but as a review in general, I don't think we can really complain, especially for the majority of it we were looking over our shoulder. So I think, again, glory to Silva. I think he's done a brilliant job with the hand he's been given. He hasn't been perfect, but yeah, he's done a good job.
Do you think, though, that our form has actually stayed pretty much the same, except we've had a bit more of, sorry about being trite, we've had more of a rub of the green in the past couple of games where maybe we played teams that are at a bit of a low ebb, didn't take their chances, and things have fallen to us more recently?
Yeah, and obviously the last 2 games have been 1-0s. So that could have gone either way. There was one that was decided by a penalty, the other was decided by a mistake. So, you can, it's almost like confirmation bias because you got the win, it's all rosy, when really they could have easily been 1-0 losses as well. So you don't want to just look at that and go, oh, well, this season has been great. We are a mid-table team. I think the way we've played for the majority of the season, we should be lower mid-table. And I just think because it is so even throughout the league, everyone has been so inconsistent. I mean, you think of teams like Bournemouth, Brighton, Palace, who started off so well and have kind of dropped off recently, that it's hard to really gauge. But, I just want to reiterate we have had injuries. I mean, the one to Muniz is really devastating.
Well, I think a lot of pundits have really forgotten our injury issues. And can I just apologise to Ryan Sessegnon, who's obviously listening to this podcast, that I didn't mention the fact that he was one of our key injuries, because let's face it, he'd be in our team sheet, he'd be the first on that list. And
up to his injury, he was probably up there for player of the season.
Absolutely. And nobody really kind of recognises that. Although, having said that, a number of podcasts, so for example, the Nottingham Forest podcast, they did note that the fact that we'd lost 3 of our better players to AFCON.
I also think, to be fair, we've got such an able replacement in Robinson, who's getting back to full fitness and he really looks like he's getting up to speed. It's kind of masks that miss a lot, whereas for the majority of it, when Muniz has been out, Raul's kind of just been on his own out there, and I think that's been a huge miss. And then obviously now the AFCON players. But again, this win streak has kind of masked that a little bit.
Because he looked out dead on his feet before this run of wins. I mean, our first win in this run, he looked dead on his feet, I felt.
And the Newcastle game, which is wedged in between. So it's 3 Premier League wins. But obviously after the Burnley one, it was the Newcastle game. And Raul just didn't look fit for purpose that game. And then suddenly he basically, on paper, got us 6 points in the next 2 games.
He just seemed rejuvenated. So I don't know what happened.
Well, he is a patchy player. I think I said this last week. And sometimes that, that penalty just gets his confidence up.
And I have replayed that penalty a number of times just to say, because it's just so lovely seeing a Fulham player actually be completely confident, and the amount of time he had to wait.
And I think a special mention to Harry Wilson, and this isn't just a 25-26 summary. I think this could be a 2025 summary. I think he's come on so much. He really looks to be in the prime of his career.
He's transformed.
Yeah.
Mentally, he seems different. Physically, he seems stronger. I mean, there was a time not so long ago where, do you remember, he used to fall around and sort of not whine, but was like moaning all the time. And honestly, he's just completely changed.
Yeah.
So,
And I think this season especially, but even towards the end of last season, obviously he was getting goals and he wasn't getting the starts that he felt and he probably did deserve. Now he's getting the starts, rightfully so. And yeah, I think he's been crucial
and his
in this
technique
season.
seems to have massively improved as well. I mean, if his goals don't get goal of the season, one of them.
Well, he's always been technically brilliant. I remember, Derby, even at Bournemouth, he would score like outrageous goals, free kicks. But I think you're right in that he seems to be scoring from last season to carrying on to this season different types of goals, and that's pleasant to see. Whereas I think before it was always the left footer curler outside the box, whereas now he's scoring goals with the outside of his foot. He's scoring headers. He's scoring like flicks off his heel. Like he's really just getting in there and scoring all types of goals. So, and obviously his Wales form as well has been amazing. So for the whole of 2025, I think Wilson has been such a huge positive.
And do you think his link-up plays also improved? Like we were saying, I think last time, that he seems to be getting a better understanding with Raul.
Yeah, I think it would be very interesting to find out if Silva has been really drilling Wilson in to make runs inside, because it seems a lot of the time, even in the Championship, well, he had a great season in the Championship, and then those first few seasons in the Premier League, he would just kind of be lost on the wing. Whereas now he seems to be busting a gut every time to be making runs inwards, and that means, as you say, he can combine. And I remember he combined with Muniz a lot when Muniz went through that run, and recently he's been combining with Raul really well. So yeah, he's just getting involved more. I know that's a bit of it's generalising. It's not too specific, but I think it sums up. He's just really being harder to play against. I think if there was one criticism of Wilson in his early Fulham career and maybe his career before that, he would be easy for a defender to play against, and he's not now.
That hunger, he just seems really hungry to do well, and that is it's such a bonus for us. Certainly, it's been a bit of a light considering some of the results that we had, which have been quite depressing. And then this last, 3 games where we won, it's just been getting a nosebleed. That now that we're 10th, it's absolutely fantastic.
Well, yeah, we were 10th at the time, so I think we're 12th and we've still got Palace to play. So
yes,
hopefully we can leapfrog them.
We'll come to that later, because I think realistically we don't hold much hope for that game because it's Palace. But if we look at our midfield, I think that's been... Do you reckon that's the area where we've had most issues this season?
Yeah, which isn't their fault to an extent.
No,
because
absolutely not.
I don't think we recruited. It was no secret that Silva wanted to recruit there. I think Kieran Dewsbury Hall was the player that he wanted, and he's done very well at Everton. So it was very obvious that it was a point of contention for Silva, that he thought we needed a midfielder, and he's been proven right. Has Silva shot himself in the foot at times? I think of that Everton game. That really should have ended about 4 or 5-0.
That was dreadful.
Where everyone knew it was time to move Iwobi into the middle, and Bergman Lukic shouldn't still be starting, and he was almost cutting off his nose despite his face. I do think Silva can be accused of that sometimes, where he'll kind of spiral when you just want someone to, just take the ego hit. But obviously now he's moved Iwobi inside. Obviously I know Iwobi's just gone to AFCON.
Yeah.
But things improved a bit. So, yeah, to an extent, I don't think it's Silva or the midfield's fault that it has been a real weakness for us this season. They should have been bolstered in summer.
But there is a lack of creativity when Iwobi's not there, and also there's a flatness. I mean, Michael Cox actually said that when we played Everton and Berger and Lukic played together, it was flat because neither excel in the role that they have to play when they're together, and they're much better when Lukic plays. Not with Berger and vice versa as well. And Berger is not a defensive midfielder. He just isn't that. And we'd love to see him actually be far more creative and attacking. I think I think there's a brilliant player in there, but he's not being allowed to do that role because he always has to drop back, and that's not his strength. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when we come to sort of the transfers, this is something that, I think we think is really, really important. But what about if we look back at our defence then? That's been sometimes quite dodgy, to put it mildly.
The defence has almost been really, really odd because we had a horrific record where we conceded something like 10 in 3 games. Like with the City game, conceded 5. The Everton game, it was horrific. But then we've got a weird run of clean sheets, and obviously recently we've won 2 1-0s with Cuenca coming in. I think Cuenca's another real bonus. A really positive influence on the squad as a whole. But it's kind of it's a really odd dynamic. I think we have the ability in the squad to be solid, but I think it is definitely at the cost of creativity. And then when we choose to be more creative and then we look more exciting and dynamic, it's hard to get that balance at the moment, and I think that is down to the midfield as well. So we are capable. I think we've shown we're capable, but of being solid. But the goals definitely dry up. We don't have the calibre of midfielders and attackers at the moment that can really go and create by themselves. We need the Bassies and Iwobis who are playing direct balls from deep. And when we don't have that, it's just very obvious.
And they do lack consistency. So Anderson sometimes has a mare, although he's massively improved recently. And Bassi sometimes does make the odd mistake here and there. I think the one consistent is Tete.
Yeah.
Who's been an absolute star so far.
I'm so glad he didn't go to Everton.
Has he had a bad performance this season? He's always been pretty consistent, which is what we kind of need in that back line. And but I think Sessegnon has really improved as a defender, even though I don't think that's his natural position.
Well, with Robinson coming back and starting to look like the Robinson we know, I really hope this doesn't mean the end of Sessegnon as a starter. I really, really hope that he can get that position of in the attack.
Well, what do you think if we go on to Kevin then? Do you think that if Kevin's not performing as perhaps Silva thinks that he should, do you think he might put Sessegnon on that left wing?
I think Kevin was too expensive to not fully invest in. And that's the annoying thing with Sessegnon, is that obviously I know we got him back from Spurs, but he's essentially seen as a free hit because, he was an academy product and then we got him back. So he's almost the one you can sacrifice, and I think in his career he has been sacrificed. I remember, even though he got us up and was player of the season in the Championship, he was the one when we made all those signings that was relegated to left back and then he wasn't starting. So I just hope that doesn't happen again. With Kevin, yeah, because obviously we're going to look at the signings as well.
Yeah.
And he's the one where, you obviously can see there's talent there, but he has been underwhelming. I don't think that's unfair to say.
He seems really... he does seem sort of like a team player afterwards, and the joy when we won, for example, in our last game, he was, he was beaming and running over and hugging people, but he just seems to be, I don't know, that hunger doesn't translate onto when he's playing. He just seems a little bit...
There's a lack of confidence.
You think it's a...
Which is ironic, because you think Brazilian winger, flair player, they're almost born with confidence, but there have been a few times in front of goal where he's just made the wrong decision and it looks like he's really tentative.
So do you reckon he just has frozen a little bit, where maybe the weight of expectation is kind of stunting?
Well, he probably gets a lot more time. He probably got a lot more time in the Ukrainian league.
Yeah.
So now there's times where it's like pull the trigger,
yeah.
And he's trying to get the perfect finish on his that right foot bending into the far post. And to use the example we used earlier, that was the goal Wilson was always trying to score. You can't always get that. You've just got to get it in sometimes. And the best player in recent Fulham history for that was Bobby Reid. And he would just score goals. He would consistently, even though he wasn't a starter, get 5 to 10 goals every season in the Championship, in the Premier League. Even when we go down in horrific seasons, he would always get 5 to 10 goals.
Yeah.
And because he knew where the goal was, and he could score ugly, and that's kind of what you got to learn in the Premier League, I think.
100%. He was a great servant to us.
Oh,
Bobby
yeah.
Reid. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I mean, hopefully with a bit of time, he'll get to where we're hoping he should be with Kevin. So I think also with Chukwueze, do you and this might lead us nicely onto the transfers
There's only
that
three
may
to talk
or may
about.
not occur. So first of all, if we do you want to look at the January transfers, but we'll have a look at the ones that actually we've got then, yeah?
Yeah.
So we've looked at Kevin then, and Chukwueze obviously on loan. Good business.
Brilliant so far.
Yeah.
I mean, his stats are great. He's already got 4 assists, couple goals. Obviously, so close to that amazing comeback against City, which never quite happened. But he's just been the word that springs to mind is dynamic. He's a risk taker.
Yeah.
He's great to watch.
He's so direct, which is what we've been crying out for. Well, as they're doing their 50. I think Anderson's virtually in, I think, like the top 20 of players that pass.
Yeah.
Because we're just passing it around at the back. And, it's that direct play that is just so invigorating, which is what you're there, which is really what a silver side is all about.
I've already started, so I'll have to finish.
Yeah,
it's a cliche, but he gets you off your seat because he gets the ball and he's looking to go. Yeah. He's looking to take someone on, and it's wherever he is on the pitch. He could be near the halfway line on the right-hand side. He's still trying to take players on. So it's really good. There will be some frustrating games with him. I think there was a game recently where I think it was Burnley where he kept on giving the ball away. But I think when you've got a player like that who will always try things, you're going to get those games. But then you're going to get games like the Man City one where he's just electric and they just don't know what to do with him because he's unpredictable. So, yeah, Chukwueze, amazing loan. I hope we make that permanent.
Yeah,
he already looks like he's bedded in. He doesn't look like he has any confidence issues.
He's full on, isn't he?
So he's bedded in with Bassi
like that. Yeah,
Iwobi, obviously his teammates. So big miss for AFCON, to be honest. I think we could have done with him in that Newcastle quarter-final.
But wouldn't it be amazing if Nigeria won?
Oh, yeah.
That confidence they bring back would be awesome.
And I know they had a bad final loss last time to Ivory Coast.
Yes.
I know Iwobi got a bit of a stick especially. I think he really carries a lot of responsibility generally, Iwobi. It really seems like he's the big brother of Bassi.
No, I know what you mean.
And so I think he really deserves that.
Yeah. But Chukwueze's pass completion is actually quite low, and that's because he's trying sort of exciting kind of passes and ideas. But he's up there with Jerky.
I think Jerky's
he's
got a bit clear now, but
with the assists. With the assists, he was fairly near with Jerky. And then he's fairly near with Rafinha with non-penalty goals. He's in that highest bracket. So he's stunning, the kind of the transformation that he's actually created in us, and that excitement when he plays, which I think is what it's all about. So that was a great signing. Kevin, like we said, is we're still waiting, and the third one,
Lecomte.
Yes, right. So
obviously he was great in the penalty shootout against Wickham.
He was brilliant in the
But Newcastle, it was he didn't seem to want to catch the ball, and he made the unfortunate thing for him is he made his best moment right before the Newcastle goal, whereas the shot from Miley that was deflected, and he was like a cat, and he saved it, and that was almost like, oh my God, and then they scored from the corner directly. So,
do you think it's fair to say, look, he hasn't been playing?
Yeah.
And then, of course, he might be a little bit wobbly.
I think that's the life of a backup keeper. It's very harsh.
It's a hard life, that. I mean, I know we're looking at, millionaires playing football. We know
in this case, millionaires not playing football.
But nevertheless, it's still quite difficult to be on the bench and then...
From a purely professional perspective, it must be a bit of a tricky situation to be in because you've got to stay sharp.
Yeah.
You're thrown in at the deep end. It's like a knockout game. You can't. It's not like a league. You can't. Leno can have a bad game and then be good for the next 3 games and it covers it. You can't really do that in a cup.
So if we then move on to the January transfer window, which ends, I believe, is it on February 1st? It ends, I think.
End of January.
So obviously, we know what's going to happen with Fulham transfers.
Well, we look like we're trying to get business done a bit sooner, which is very un-Khan-like, with this 26 million bid for Pepe, is it?
Yeah.
I think from the little bit I've read, we're going to try and bid again, maybe try go 30 plus. But I like the statement of intent because it is correct. We absolutely need another striker.
Absolutely. What sort of striker do you think we actually need?
Because I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about this guy, but I can only tell you what I think the silver model requires.
So what do we need? Yeah.
Someone who's in the box. I know that sounds really flippant, but someone who is in the box. Yeah. And we have players that are direct. Silva likes direct, aggressive football. He loves his crosses. And I think we're actually becoming more of a corner threat this year as well. I think out of the traditional, air quotes, big six, we're the team with the highest amount of corner goals. We've scored 7 corner goals. Although Aston Villa might have more. They might have 8. But the point is we're higher on corner goals. And I think just adding to that would be good. But in open play, I think we could just do with someone. Because Raul drops off. And I think sometimes there have been opportunities where there are crosses going in.
And he's in the midfield.
And there's no one in the box. So someone who positionally is quite disciplined up front, but who can link play up as well.
Well, from the small amount I've seen of him, he tends to run onto the ball. I don't think he's one to, with his back to goal, hold up the ball. I don't think he's that sort of player. He's big and he runs fast and he's technically seems very good. And so far with PSV, he's been in 14 games, and I think overall there's been like 23, 25, so he hasn't played in all the games, and he scored 7 goals with no assists. So I don't know why he's not playing in every single game at the moment.
If he's been injured.
Maybe. But he does look promising, but whether he's the sort of player that we need, but I think he depends on service from fast wingers. That's what I'd sense from the tiny, the small amount of videos.
Was he scoring a lot of one-touch finishes?
Yeah, I think. His he's very sharp in front of goal. From what I think,
we've got players, especially with Chukwueze and Wilson, who will provide fast, direct service.
Yeah.
So I have no issue with that. If there is a criticism that I've levelled at Raul, is that he's not direct enough. He's not getting in the box enough. And we love the little give and goes, but in terms of statistically getting us goals and points, they're just not enough.
Yeah.
We need someone who's there. I mean, Silva joined and it was Mitro. He was going to be in the box. He was going to score ugly goals. So I think he's almost built it around that model.
Yeah, and he's never been replaced.
We've got Raul, who's done an unbelievable job, given the context that he was the Mitrovic replacement. He is getting on in age. He is recovering from horrific injury. Despite all of that, he's been an unbelievable servant, but it's still not as good as it could be.
Yeah, agreed. Again, now we're going to get back to our old bugbear, which is the DM, the defensive midfielder, which we think we need a specialist in that position. Would you agree?
Definitely. Said this in our end of season review last season. I think I named Vinicius Souza. He's now at Wolfsburg. But we just need someone who they know what their role is, and it's an unglamorous role. I mean, obviously this is a much better example than someone we could probably get. But I think like Kamara at Villa, someone where it gives Tielemans, it takes the handbrake off them, and Onana. And I feel like right now it's like the equivalent of Tielemans having to play that anchor role for Villa. And it just doesn't, it stifles them, and that's what our midfielders are having to do. So I think definitely, yeah.
So I hope this doesn't sound too simplistic, but what are the key features that we want in our defensive midfielder? So, for example, would it be his ability to make tackles, like a destroyer, a little bit like a Polina replacement? So we wouldn't put so much on his passing ability, the accuracy of his passes, the fact that we want someone that can actually read the game, which I think perhaps at the moment, I don't think there's anyone really like that in midfield that can read the game.
I think to put it in as simple terms as possible, we want to prioritise the off-the-ball midfielder as opposed to the on-the-ball midfielder. It's more important what they're doing off the ball. Positionally, as you say, interceptions and then tackles, as opposed to dictating tempo.
It's just shoring up that hole that sometimes that our centre-backs allow to happen. If you remember when we were playing West Ham, those passes that went to Callum Wilson just cut through. And it's just that if Polina had been there, that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have thought quite so easily anyway. So I think that's absolutely essential for that to happen. But it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing that.
I know they're very rare to get, but this is what we should have been doing in the summer. This is why Silva was fuming.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I think the striker is not even a negotiation. I think whoever it is, we have to get someone.
So really, we think our two signings should be the defensive midfielder and the striker.
Yeah, they have to be priority number one.
Yeah, I think those are what are needed this January. That's it. And then we can do more, obviously.
And there's luxury. I know there's talks of another winger. It looks like Adama is on his way out.
I believe it when I see it, though. I mean, I don't think West Ham fans are that keen on him going.
I think it's Nuno, isn't it?
Definitely.
Because Nuno wants him at Forest. And then, obviously, I think Nuno has a good relationship with him, and I think he feels like he can get some performances out of him.
I hope he can kick on there, because he just hasn't done it.
No, it's been poor this season.
Yeah, it has been. So, it's fingers crossed we're actually going to be ahead of the game in this transfer window, and we'll just have to obviously see what happens. But now, the moment that you've all been waiting for, which is we're going to do a little bit of a kind of a fantasy kind of sports event where we're going to try and imagine that football didn't exist. In the evolutionary world of sport, it just didn't happen. And instead, our Fulham players have had to slot themselves in to a new sport instead. And what one would they actually have ended up
I'm
with?
here to just agree and judge yours.
That I've said. Well, you can argue. Please argue if you want. So we're going to start off with the forwards. And Raul was a really difficult one to do. But you suggested
very lazily a WWE wrestler because he is in celebrations past
at Wolves
put
indeed.
masks on.
That's right.
I know in the FA Cup semi-final, which they did go on to lose. Sorry, Wolves fans. He scored and put on a mask. So in the absence of any other obvious thing, I said that.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. But yeah, he'd make a good wrestler. I think he's so tenacious. I mean, to get where he's been through, to get through, he's a tenacious guy. Now, next we're going to look at Muniz. Now, Muniz, I really struggled. Have you got an idea what you'd think he could do?
It's cheating to just say fisher, isn't it? That's fishing. That's not sport, is it?
No, it is. Technically, is it a leisure? Is it a leisure?
What would you say for him?
I would actually say fishing.
Okay.
Because that's he really absolutely loves it. So that's cheating in a way.
Yeah,
but that's something
I've cheated twice now.
No,
so.
That's allowed. I think that's what he would also agree with. That's what he'd love to do. He'd be very good at it. Right, Kusi Asari.
I'm just going to say basketball because he's about 8 foot tall.
No, I thought no, bit too obvious. I would say volleyball. I can imagine him doing that a killer serve in the Olympics. So,
he'd be a good volleyball player.
He would be. So midfielders then. Now, Traore.
I'm going American football.
You think American football? I was going to say, what are those guys that do those dead weight lifts? What are they?
Powerlifters.
Yeah. I would say. I can imagine him wearing one of those thick leather belts.
I would argue Traore would be an unbelievable running back in American football.
Oh, okay.
I think he's the kind of guy where he could have basically chosen any sport and he could have made it pro.
Yeah.
So I think he would have made an amazing running back because he would have just got the ball and I'm not sure, people would just bounce off
They would have bounced
It's
off
almost odd that he's chosen the one sport where it doesn't really utilise his upper body.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, but he did he has changed shape, I remember you saying. Was he a lot leaner when he...
Well, when he was a kid, when he was 18 to 20 and like Barcelona's academy, and then he just blew up.
Yeah.
So...
No, it's odd. So midfield, yeah. So Traore and Iwobi. Now I put Iwobi. I can imagine him being a brilliant archer.
What's your reasons?
Well, just because I can imagine him, with all the arrows and everything, and how it swings down the bow when they do the shot and swinging down, and he's a thinker, is Iwobi. He's a clever bloke. So I reckon he can, and he targets things. I can just imagine him doing that, and dead cool when necessary. Yeah. Right, Chuck Wasey.
I've got no idea.
Well, I put down cricket. I can imagine that he'd be a medium-pace bowler, but also fantastic at batting as well. In fact, a little bit like an Ian Botham. That's what
I'm going to have to agree, not knowing too much about cricket.
No, I don't know much about cricket either. Right, Smith Rowe, absolutely nailed this one. Any ideas what you choose?
That's a tough one.
It is until I tell you.
What have you said?
Table tennis.
Is that just in the absence of another obvious one?
No, he would have been an absolute champion at table tennis because he's got that kind of shuffling, kind of quick feet, moving around, power.
Okay.
Yeah, really self-contained. So, I put table tennis for Smith Rowe. Now, Wilson, what do you think?
I'd have said a winter sport. Don't know why. Like skiing.
I can imagine him skiing.
Yeah.
I can imagine him skiing, but I thought fencing. Because he's got, I think, even more so since he's got his new hair thing, with the hairband. I think that gives like a little bit more of a...
they do wear like a mask, don't they?
But,
so
when he took it off, he still have it on. So, fencing because he's so technical and...
Oh, right, I see.
Very fluid movements, killer instincts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Kevin.
He's one of those where he could have only been a footballer.
But that's
He's
not
Brazilian.
The point. Football doesn't exist, Tom.
No,
Doesn't exist anymore.
Go on, I couldn't even say.
Well, I thought golf. I can imagine him just, really chill, walking around the course and just doing like a hole-in-one.
Wow.
And this is from someone that doesn't know I don't like golf, don't know anything about golf, but I can imagine him. Crowds of people silently
I can imagine him with that white glove,
The white glove and all the beautiful
that makes
gear
sense,
that he'd look great.
Yeah.
I think he'd be great at golf. Right, King. Josh King.
I'd have said fencing for King.
Well, I agree. He could have been a fencer, but do you know what I think he would have done? Squash.
Fair.
I can imagine him playing squash.
Yeah.
And being really great at it. Yeah. No, so he'd be the champion squash player. Right, and then Lukic. Sasha Lukic.
Yeah, cyclist.
So it has to be cyclist. There's nothing else. Yeah. So obviously not the ones with the massive thighs that do like the velodrome, not that.
No, he's built, he could be a cyclist.
Like Tour de France.
He'd
win it.
Fat on him.
Yeah, if he did that, he would have won already. So, yeah, Lukic, cyclist. Berg, Sander Berg. I literally had an ephany and just thought,
go on.
Yeah, right, water polo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I can imagine him in the cap.
Yeah.
Literally, I think the water would only come up to his knees anyway.
They need to be tall for that as well.
They do. So. And honest to God, you have to be so strong for that. Right, Kearney.
I said snooker.
To be fair, I think he'd look brilliant in that suit.
You're just imagining what they'd look like in the gear. But,
I know. He'd look at. He just.
I just couldn't think of another one. Him not being the most mobile of players.
Exactly. The beautiful, slow but fluid movements. He gets all the angles.
Yeah.
Obviously, good mathematician as well, I would imagine, Kearney.
Just making that up, but yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, champion snooker player. Right, Harrison Reed. Only one thing he could be.
Oh, Reed. I don't know, he's kind of built like a fighter. He's almost quite stocky, isn't he? But yeah.
I said gymnast. Because you can't be to be a brilliant gymnast, you have to be quite, not small, but you have to be, sort of middle range at least. And he's very strong, very muscly. I think he would have been a champion gymnast. So, yeah, that's what he'd do.
Or he'd be a fighter and he would just never give up. He'd be like
Yes.
a boxer,
True,
and he would just
yeah.
hang in there,
Yes.
and he would just never give up.
I agreed. Right, so our defenders then. Right, Anthony Robinson. I'm not going to do the one that you think I'm
100
going to
metre
say.
sprinter.
No, I don't think so.
I think he could be a sprinter.
Yes, he could be, but
The way he's so fast.
He
Yeah.
is, yeah. I was going to say the long jump.
Okay.
The long jump. I think again, with many sprinters were actually long jumpers as well. I think Carl Lewis.
I think again he could try that and be really, really good at it.
Yeah, he would. He would be. Right, Diop.
Oh wow.
Oh, is it again? He just fits into
Go on.
his basketball.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just
Just
that-
he's massive.
Yeah, he's so graceful. I can just imagine him like with ease playing on a basketball court. Sessegnon. Now he's tricky. Sessegnon.
Sessegnon's another one where he just looks like a footballer.
Yeah. And I was surprised when I thought, he did this.
What have you
Right,
put?
tennis.
Yeah, I can see that.
Tennis, yeah, he'd be a great, and all the crowd would absolutely love him.
'Cause he'd be very polite at Wimbledon.
So he'd be champion.
There's no
tennis
science
player.
to this, by the way. This is all
Oh, it's all-
conjecture.
It's all scientific.
Yeah.
All data based.
Yeah.
Right, again, Castagna.
I would have said cycling.
Yeah,
for him.
because again, it's cheating really because you see
or
him
long
cycle.
distance runner.
Oh, really?
One of those two. Yeah.
Long distance.
Well,
Oh, no.
apparently not, but yeah, cycling.
No, I can't. Yeah, cycling. Yeah, with the Tour de France. Yeah, the long haul cycling. Now Cuenca, you had an absolute.
I've forgotten what I've said for that.
Really,
What did I
nailed
say?
it. Tennis player.
Yeah.
Literally, you can see him at the.
That's the only thing with
US
Sessegnon.
Open.
I don't think he'd be tall enough for tennis because they're all
He's 6
giants.
foot, isn't he?
I think he's under 6 foot, Sessegnon. So all tennis players are giants.
Yeah,
But
they are.
Cuenca definitely.
But yeah, you can imagine him on a clay court,
Yeah.
winning relentlessly. Yeah,
Yeah, he'd be good at clay. I think.
he would be. Yeah. Right now, Anderson.
I could weirdly see him being basketball as well. Weirdly.
Really? No, I get what you mean. Yeah, he's got that. I actually put him down as clay pigeon shooting. I can imagine
I
him
don't
with the
see
rifle.
that at
No,
all.
I can imagine the rifle hanging over his elbow. You know, in that kind of like imperious.
I'll
manner
go
that
with
he
it,
has.
but I don't.
No, but yeah, you're probably probably more likely with a basketball. Right now, Bassi.
Boxer.
You reckon
Heavyweight.
boxer? Not. He's just got those.
Shoulders.
He's
Yeah.
he's absolutely fantastic. He would have made a brilliant boxer.
Mm.
Fearless as well.
Yeah.
Very brave. Tete, which again we're cheating with
Lazy
this one.
kickboxer, 'cause-
kickbox. Yeah, because of his dad.
Yeah.
Did you say his
He's
dad
a
was?
kickboxing champion, was he?
Oh wow.
So
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, we know he'd be a champion at that. And then lastly, listeners, yes, we are coming to the end of this. The goal is now Lecomte.
because he's quite big. Look,
He is big. Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought ice hockey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very good.
I thought he looked.
Is that because when we've seen him, he's just constantly got he's covered in material, isn't he? Because he's got the underarm stuff. So you're just imagining him like that. But no,
Yeah.
I think that's a good shot.
Yeah, ice hockey.
Based on nothing other than
No.
what he's worn.
Yeah, exactly. And Leno.
There has to be a good one for him.
There was only one thing that I could think for him.
Yeah. What was it?
Formula One.
Yeah.
But is he too tall? Are the Formula One drivers quite small? I mean, I know they were slim. They're dead wiry, aren't they? Are they?
He can just.
They can make a bigger cockpit.
Yeah. I think that's good for him.
Yeah.
And he's
Right.
German, so
And,
cars.
exactly. So he'd obviously do really well. So scientifically done, obviously, listeners, and that is our key kind of solving of the problem. If football didn't exist, what would Fulham players do instead? Right, so I think later on this evening we've got the Crystal Palace match to look forward to.
Yeah.
Obviously, absolutely nothing to worry about there. I do hope that you've all had a really great break, and we will be reviewing the Palace match. We are a little bit kind of tentative about the outcome of it, but, fingers crossed. You never know, Fulham fans. And please join us for our next pod.